Hi, I'm Amy Romeo of amyromeo.com, and on this channel I like to share fun and easy jewelry making and craft projects. This video today is a follow-up to this video where I showed you how to create your own faux leather keychains using the offset feature in Cricut Design Space. I got a lot of requests for making the same type of video but showing you how to create your own name keychains, so that's what we'll be doing today in this video. I'll be showing you my favorite free fonts, exactly how to set up and size your name, and then I'll show you how to put the whole keychain together using faux leather and heat transfer vinyl with your Cricut. So if you're excited about this project and you're ready to get started, let's dive right in. Let's go over the tools and materials we'll be using to make these personalized name keychains. I'll be using the Cricut Maker today, but you can use any of the current Cricut machines, including the Explore Air 2 and the Cricut Joy, because we're cutting faux leather with just the standard fine point blade. The faux leather that I'm using is from Amazon. You can buy it in rolls. You can also buy faux leather in sheets, and I'll have links to all of the materials that I used in this project in the video description for you. I'll also be using some heat transfer vinyl for the letters. You can use permanent vinyl if that's what you have on hand and that's what you prefer. This is some Cricut brand foil iron-on. You could use glitter heat transfer vinyl or a solid color. It's up to you. I'll use a purple strong grip cutting mat to cut the faux leather along with some blue painter's tape, and then I'll use the green standard grip mat to cut the heat transfer vinyl. To press the letters onto the faux leather, I'll use my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting. You can also use an Easy Press set to about 265 degrees. I have a heat pressing pad and a cover sheet. This is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed down to size. And you'll want to have a weeding tool of some kind, also some craft scissors. If you have some small curved or detail scissors, that's helpful as well. And then to glue this project, I like to use Beacon Fabri-Tac. This is just a fabric glue. I like the weight of it. If you wanted to use something thinner, a thinner glue like Barely Art Glue, you absolutely can. Just keep in mind that you'll want to apply more of this to really get the two layers of the faux leather to stick together. The back of the faux leather is a little fuzzy and it sort of absorbs this kind of a glue because it's thinner. So you can definitely use it, just keep that in mind. I recommend using either of those glues because they do spread nice and smooth rather than something like E6000, which I find spreads sort of clumpier, and you don't want those lumps and bumps when you are folding over your faux leather keychain sides onto each other. Lastly, you'll need something like a heavy book. That's going to help us get that really nice tight seal on the edge of our faux leather keychain. So I created these keychains using several different free fonts from a website called Dafont.com. And here's a graphic that shows you each of the different designs and what font I used from that website in case you want to head over there and download a particular font yourself. Keep in mind, if you are downloading a font for use with Cricut Design Space, you're actually installing it on your device that you're using with Design Space. For example, your laptop, your tablet, your computer. You're not uploading it or installing it to Design Space. Rather, it's the device. So if you haven't installed your own fonts before, it's very simple, but you'll want to do a quick Google search on how to install fonts using a MacBook Pro, using an iPhone 11, whatever your technical specifications are, and you're going to get specific instructions on how to do it. Then those fonts will be on your device and you'll be able to access them from Design Space. Let's hop over to Dafont.com quickly, and I'm going to show you how to search for this particular font that we'll be using. It's called Keep on Truckin'. So here's the site, Dafont.com. I get a lot of free fonts from this site, and it's fun to browse through the different categories here. You can also search new fonts, and I like to look at this one too, the top fonts, the most popular ones, to get some new ideas. But I know the font that I'm looking for this project. It's called Keep on Truckin'. So you'll just put that here in the search box, click search, and then it pops up. And what's really fun is you can type the name that you want to use for your keychain, type that there in the preview box, click submit, and then you'll see a preview of how your name will look in that letter style. Here's your download button. You'll click on that and you'll download the font to your device, and then you will install it onto your device following the specific instructions that you're going to Google search. You can see that this font is free for personal use. Often there are commercial license options available as well. So let's hop into Design Space, and I'm going to show you how to use this font to create your own keychain. I'll also show you how just to use a regular Cricut font if you're not ready to start installing your own fonts. So you'll want to start with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space. I've created a finished version of the keychain so you can see exactly what we're creating. We have our name that we'll cut from heat transfer vinyl. This is in my desired font, but you can use any font you'd like. Then I've created an outline of the name using the offset feature. Then I've copied that back shape and put it over here, and it's reversed so that when these two halves of the keychain fold over and are glued together, they'll be a perfect match. Then I've connected those two shapes with a 2-inch wide bridge piece, and this is where our key ring will go. Now it's important to keep in mind these fold over keychains are very wide, so I recommend keeping the entire width to about 10 inches wide or less, and that will help make sure that your shape will be able to cut out of a piece of faux leather. So let's go ahead and hide this so I can show you how to create this from scratch. And you'll want to start by clicking on the text tool. And Design Space will create a little default box of text for you. This is that easy to read Cricut font. If you're not comfortable installing your own fonts, I recommend you follow the entire tutorial just using this font to create your keychain. But I'm going to be showing you how to use that Keep on Truckin' font that we installed. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on my text, change it to my name. And then I'm going to go up here to the font selector, and I won't find this font on the Cricut tab because it's not installed to Cricut Design Space. It's installed on my device. So if I click on System and I search Keep On, it will pop up my font. I'll click on it to select it, close this out, and now my name is in my desired font. So I'll just change the color. And this name is 2.77 inches wide by 0.78 inches tall. So remember I said we want to keep our keychain to about 10 inches wide. So with a 2-inch bridge, that gives us a maximum of 4 inches for each name. This is less wide than that. And I do like to also keep the name about 1 inch tall at a minimum. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the name to 3 inches wide to start. And then once we add that offset, that'll get us closer to 1 inches tall. Okay, so now it's time to add our offset. So with the name selected here, you'll click on Offset. And that's going to create an automatic outline for you around your shapes. Now you can adjust the size of this offset either by typing a new number here in the box, or you can drag the slider and you can see how the offset changes. Now when the offset is very small, like this one for example, you can see that it starts to create little holes in your shapes, and you don't want that. You don't want to have to cut out these little tiny holes of your faux leather, and you don't want to cut out these large shapes here that will make your faux leather keychain less durable. But if you do need to cut out your shape like this and you just need to get rid of some of these little tiny spots, I'm going to show you how you can do that. So let's click the apply button so I can show you that quickly. That's going to create your offset for you, this black back layer. And if you click on contour, you'll be able to click on all of those little cutout shapes and eliminate them. See how they're gone? Okay, but what I do want to do is adjust my offset so I eliminate these cutout shapes. So let's just go back a few steps. Click on my name again, click offset, and we're going to drag that a little bit bigger. So here I can see I've eliminated all of those cutouts. Now here you can choose from rounded corners or squared corners. This font is naturally rounded, so clicking on the sharp angle doesn't really change, but if your font had sharp angles, you would see that your box was more angular. Weld offsets, you want to keep that on. What that's doing is basically connecting the outline of each letter. If you turn this off, it will create an outline around every individual letter that you will need to then select on and weld. So let's just leave that at weld offsets. I like this size at 0.181. We'll click apply. It's important to click apply or else your offset will disappear. So there's our offset. I'm going to go ahead and choose my color picker here and just change that color again. So now my name with the offset is 3.36 inches wide, which is pretty good. I'll drag that up a little bit. And now we want to go ahead and create the rest of our keychain shape. So what I'm going to do is click on this back layer only, and I'm going to make a copy of it. Just going to kind of place it over here for now. What I need to do is flip it so that it is mirrored. So I will click flip horizontal. And now the beginning of the keychain is here on both sides. Now what we want to do is connect that with a bridge shape. So I'll click on shapes, select the square. That's going to give us a 2-inch square. But what I want to do is make it 0.5 inches tall. So I'll unlock the proportions so I can change the height to 0.5 without changing that 2-inch width. Now we have a little rectangle that's 2 inches wide and 1/2 inch tall. I'll click on the color selector. I'll make it that back color again. Then what I want to do is make sure that I overlap the little edges of the rectangle on both sides of the names so that they're just touching. Now what I want to do, this is very important, you want to drag your cursor, select all of the layers, and you want to click up here on a line, and then you want to center them vertically. This is going to make it so that when you fold over the keychain, the front and the back shapes line up perfectly. The last step is to connect all of these shapes together. So I'm just going to click on one of them. I'm holding the shift key on my keyboard. I'm clicking on the next one. I'm still holding shift. I'm clicking on the third one. Or you can click on them here in the layers panel, but they're all clicked on. Then you'll click on combine and then weld. And that's going to create that one keychain shape that you'll cut from faux leather. Let me just click on my name, drag it up to the top, and now we're ready to cut this shape. Before we do, let's just select our shape, double check the size. So it says it's 8.59 inches wide, which is great. It's less than 10 inches and it will fit on our piece of faux leather to cut. So go ahead and click the Make It button. We're loading our materials on a mat. And then you want to go ahead and mirror both of these mats because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. If you're using permanent vinyl for your name instead, then you would not mirror the name mat. I'll click back up here on my faux leather mat, and I just want to drag it away from the top and side edges of my mat because I'll be placing some tape around on the sides, and I want to leave room for that. On my name, again, I'll just drag it away a little bit from the sides, and I'll make a note of what size vinyl I need to place on my mat to cut out my letters. So I'm going to click back on the faux leather shape so I can cut that one first. Click continue. And the setting I'll be using is called Faux Leather Paper Thin. And if you don't have this setting bookmark as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using the Explore Air 2, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you'll find this setting in that search. But I have it ready here. I'll click on it to select it. And then I always use more pressure when cutting faux leather. Here's a reminder that we're just using the regular fine point blade that comes with all of the current Cricut machines. Now when I go to cut the vinyl layer, I'll be using Cricut foil iron-on, but you'll use the manufacturer's recommended cut setting and material setting for your particular vinyl material. Okay, so let's hop back over to my overhead camera. We'll cut out the parts for our keychain and put it all together. So I've already trimmed my faux leather down to the size that I saw in the mat preview screen would be large enough to cut out my shape, but not much more. And we do that because if we cut a smaller shape and put it on our mat, we're able to put blue painter's tape around, and that helps secure it down and keep the material from shifting. So I'm just going to put this pretty side down in that spot I saw in the mat preview screen. Rub it down really well with your hands all over, or if you have a brayer, you can roll over it with a brayer. And then just apply some blue painter's tape all around the edges. Now I use blue painter's tape because it is not going to leave a sticky residue on your mat or on your faux leather like something like masking tape would. You can also peel up these pieces of tape and reuse them quite a few times before you need to throw them away. So we've got our faux leather paper thin setting ready to go with more pressure. We'll just load the mat into the machine and begin the cut. So the cut has completed going around one time, and the faux leather paper thin setting is actually a double cut. So it has cut twice, but I always like to check with my sharp weeding tool just to make sure that the cut went all the way through. So I just lift up an edge and see if it's pulling down or if it's lifting up nicely, which it is. If it doesn't, if it needs to be cut again, you can do that very easily just by pressing that cut button again, as long as you haven't unloaded your mat. On the Cricut Joy, the option to rerun the cut will be on the screen in Design Space. So this one looks good, so I'll go ahead and unload the mat and remove my shape. And here you can see that fold over effect. And because we were sure to align all of our shapes before we welded, the front and the back line up perfectly. Okay, I'm going to hop back into Design Space quickly, cut out my little vinyl layer, weed away the excess vinyl from the name, and then I'll show you how to press this together. Okay, I've weeded out my name in that pretty foil iron-on. The color is rose gold. And I have my heat pressing pad ready to go. My Easy Press Mini on low. Again, you could use a regular Easy Press set to 265 degrees. And all I'm going to do is line this up on my mat so that that even border of the offset is even on all sides around the letters. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to hold that in place, cover with my little cover sheet. You can use a Teflon sheet like this or butcher paper or parchment paper. And then we're just going to press our vinyl for about 10 seconds. So I was moving my little Easy Press Mini iron around, but if you're using a regular Easy Press, just place it down and don't move it. And then what we're going to do is hold our faux leather down in place and then start to peel away that clear cover sheet. If your letters start to peel up a little, just place it right back down, cover again, and press some more. So after you've pressed, remove your cover sheet, and then what you want to do is, keeping your faux leather flat, you want to carefully peel away that top layer. If any of your vinyl lifts up, then you can just place that clear layer right back down and press again. I like to cover one more time with my cover sheet. Give it a good press, just for about 4 to 5 seconds. And there we go, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to place this underneath my heat pressing pad just to let it cool nice and flat. I'll get my glue and my key ring. So now that my keychain has cooled nice and flat, I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to thread the key ring right into that little bridge area. And then I'm going to place the glue on one side. You want to get the glue all over and pretty close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge, because the glue will shift a little bit when you press this, and it'll help you get a really nice seal on the edges. When you have glue all on one side, you'll just fold over the other side, press it flat, and take just a moment to line up the edges with your fingers. Make sure the front and the back line up. And then we're going to place this underneath our heavy book, and we're going to let it dry for about an hour. So it's been about an hour that the keychain has been drying underneath the heavy book. Putting it underneath the book really helps us get a really nice tight edge, as you can see here on that seam. That looks great. And if you don't like the white edges, that's because the back of the faux leather was white. You could use a color coordinated Sharpie just to run that all around and cover up those white edges. So I think that came out great. And this project is all finished. I hope you enjoyed this project and you're going to make some name keychains yourself. I have so many more great faux leather crafting tutorials here on YouTube. I would love it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit that bell notification to know whenever I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.